We are back once again with Pat O'Hare. This is James MacLaren, your interviewer. Pat, welcome back.
It's good to be here. Well, I'm usually here, but...
Well, you have a nice place to be, so we like that a lot. We revisited California on the last one. We got a lot of stories there. You'd already been to Florida once, but maybe now we should pick it back up with your return to Florida on a more or less permanent basis. Tell us how that worked.
Well, after I went out there and shaped for Greg once or twice, now you got to do it over.
Oh, now you're going to wreck my interview.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He wrecked it.
I'm a wrecker.
No. Okay, so...
Shouldn't be perfect anyway. Okay.
These are real
We
people.
don't have to worry about that.
We're like real guys. It's okay. So, I've forgotten. Where were we?
Welcome to my world. What were we talking? Oh,
Coming back to Florida.
came back to Florida, and I went out once or twice to California, and then I came back, and I guess me and Greg had somewhat of a part in other ways.
Okay. Is there anything about that that we would like to know, or can we just let that go?
Just let that go.
That was done and done.
Done and done.
So we finally done our job for Greg. We've shaped our surfboards. We've helped everybody along, and Cocoa Beach is calling us.
Yes, it is. I came back here and spent 2 or 3 more years with my shop and making boards. And
Which shop would this be?
I shaped actually on Orlando Avenue, right there next to Roberto's.
Okay, the little
Used to
shop
be
there
Lynn's.
between Minuteman and First.
Yeah, little house, yeah.
Southbound A1A, I
And
remember
a
that building.
a
Still
nice
there.
showroom, yeah. A nice little showroom, a fireplace. It was great.
You
I
came
loved it.
back and bought that, or rented it?
No, I
or
rented it,
How did you
yeah.
find it?
No, I already had it. If you look at those pictures, I'd had it for a couple years. And I had the place in Manatee in that one.
Okay.
Instead of renting a house, I decided to rent that, and I could live there, and then I'd have a shop at the same
Smart
time.
you.
And then I had a factory down on Manatee where I finished my boards.
Okay, they didn't want you to glass in the middle of town in Cocoa Beach.
I probably could have got away with it then, just for painting the building. Okay.
Okay, all right.
But it wasn't big enough, actually, so.
Okay. That's everybody's dream, to own a little surf shop and live in it. I
Yeah.
can't count how many
Yeah.
people have said things to that
Yeah.
effect. You actually did it.
Yeah, I did.
How was that?
I loved it. You know, in the evenings, me and friends of mine like Danny Dawson and John Fetty and Wayne Williams used to sit out on the park, or the bench there, the bus bench, but there was no bus that went through Cocoa
Way
Beach
back
at the
when.
time. And we'd sit out there and drink a couple beers and
Oh.
talk about the waves or whatever.
Oh, that's just about as surfy as it can be
Yeah,
considered.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was great.
You've been a very fortunate person in many
Yeah.
respects. You really have.
I think time, just at the right time to.
Your timing was flawless in every step of the way so far that I can see.
But it was just, it wasn't me, it just was.
We don't care how we get it. It's not algebra class. You don't
Yeah.
get points off for getting
Yeah.
the answer the wrong way. So that went on for several years.
It did until 68, I think. I left,
Okay.
sold my shop, and I had every intention this time, after leaving Cocoa Beach, of staying in Barbados. That's where I went.
So Barbados is a return trip?
No, this is my first trip.
Okay. I'm
First
sorry.
time I went alone.
Okay.
I don't know if we talked about this before.
We have talked about some Barbados and you catching waves down there.
Yeah.
You stayed 6 months, I believe you said.
3 to 4 months, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a little
Altogether, it was 6 months because I went once again.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So,
So Barbados exerted a strong pull as well.
oh, it's just such a beautiful island, you know.
Never
I
been
kind
there.
of wished it was more mountainous like some of the other islands we flew over.
It's
You know,
not?
but it's hilly.
Okay.
It's very English.
Okay.
By not, I think not by design, by nature, you know, but it's an English colony too, so it's very English in that sense.
Interesting culture.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
To say for culture.
And I went all over the island, you know. I had a little car and I surfed a lot of places. And
You know Barbados then?
well, I did. It's like knowing California, you know, Manhattan Beach if I was to go back.
Well, but especially the ocean and where the land meets the ocean
Yeah,
part, which should
yeah,
still
I
be the
did.
same.
Where the Garrison, the Hilton was, and all those breaks there, the little shower place where the kids played in the water, and I surfed that wave in the evening.
This is which end of the island on the compass?
This is pretty close to Bridgetown, which is the heart of.
That's southwest, is it not?
You know, yeah, it is. Yeah.
I'm surprised a
Yeah.
wave even gets in over there. That's
Well, it does after, they call it the spring tides. I don't know why they call it that. It was dead winter. But it starts to change and it wraps that way around the island and those waves break.
really coming around from the south is a right.
Well, well, no, there was a lot of lefts there.
I'm sorry. Yeah, from the south would be a left. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. The north would be a right.
Yeah, and there were some rights, though. We surfed a place called, and I didn't surf that till the second time, a place called Ferris Wheel. Broke into a cliff. It was just a beautiful wave.
Oh.
You just had to get out of it before it hit the cliff, you
Like
know. But
gas chamber in PR
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, it was just a good wave, and it wasn't ever big. It was maybe 4 foot.
That's
clean.
a nice size.
That's a perfect size to
Yeah,
me, you
yeah,
know.
That's a great size.
Yeah, I'm just out to have fun out there, and there was a lot of fun there.
4 foot is the correct number.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And I surfed the Garrison and the little cove there at the beginning of Bridgetown. That's when it breaks. It's a nice wave, you know.
Okay. Pretty thin crowd back then.
Well, there was no crowd.
None, even
None. There was maybe 10 surfers on the island,
No wonder you fell in love.
and there was and the only other were the locals that were, and I'm sure the ones that surf were locals too, but the black kids were called haulers. They surfed pieces of wood just like Hawaiians
Like
did.
Hawaiians used to.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all very nice.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Very
Yeah,
nice. I'm sure you met some interesting people.
I did, and it was funny when I went back 3 years later or 2 years later. I think it was 3. A lot of those guys remembered me.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
And they didn't come at you with sticks and knives.
No. Nope. And that time we surfed a little keystone bay that was real narrow at the end that went out into the ocean. And there was they said a wave came through there once or twice a year, or maybe every other year.
Rare.
Yeah, it's rare. And we caught it. I mean, I could have swam across the bay, and
The
that's
mouth of the bay was that narrow.
was pretty narrow, yeah, and I'm not a great swimmer, you know, so we went down there. It was like 15 foot
Whoa!
breaking in the middle of the bay,
Whoa!
and easy to get out in, and I was too scared to surf it. It was too big for me.
Wow.
I knew better then, and I knew what waves do. They look real simple going out, but once you get out there, the drift and everything changes drastically. My brother surfed it good, and Carl wanted to go out in it, the other guy that was with us,
Right.
and he wouldn't go out around with my brother. He wanted to go at the other edge and catch it before it broke. And I said, Carl, that's the reason everybody goes around is because you could get caught in a cleanup set and you're done.
Yikes.
And he did.
Oh.
So as he actually, I saw him paddle over the falls backwards.
Oh,
He was
oh,
still paddling.
oh,
And
no,
I know,
no, no,
I could
no.
see the terrified feeling in him because I would have had the same.
That's,
And I grabbed my board and went out, and I was cussing him the whole time.
yes.
And so I got him, and then I took him to shore, and I went back out and got his board.
Wow.
And
Did he hit the bottom? Did bad things happen, or was he just held down for a long time?
no, I think he was tired trying to get in,
Okay.
you know, after being held down. And and my brother, it was a good wave, you know, it was a really good wave.
Oh,
A lot of people don't know about it. It only, well, I'm sure with everything now, people
Once or
do.
twice
but
a year.
I don't
yeah.
think locals try to talk about it that much anymore. They did to us because we weren't
You
that
were
many.
like honorary locals at the
yeah,
time.
yeah, and so we got to surf. I didn't get to surf it, but I surfed. I saved Duffy. And then I went and got my brother's board before it hit some trees and stuff that were close to the shore.
This is before cords.
Oh, way before cords.
Big,
yeah.
long 9-foot boards.
And Dennis swam in. He's a good swimmer, so we got in and
Good to be able to swim.
yeah. And then we went and surfed. I think we surfed Ferris wheel then that day.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
have to research that, and whoever's watching this, we'll leave it
It's
as
just
an
a name
exercise
that
for
they
the
picked.
student.
It wasn't there. Nobody talked about it the first time I was there. I went up to Crab Hill and surfed there, and I went right around Ferris wheel, not knowing it was there.
Was there an actual Ferris wheel there?
No,
Okay.
no, it was called that because of the way it broke. It kind of reminded me of Tamarindo, the river mouth there.
Just
It's just
peeled
a clean,
perfectly?
yeah, just a
Oh.
clean right.
So you're looking into it, and it's spinning like a Ferris wheel?
Yeah, and you.
Oh,
that's what
there's a
had the
name for you.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And I didn't name it. I don't know who named
That's
it.
a great, that's, you can just see it in your
Yeah.
minds, yeah.
And it was a great wave and fun.
Oh.
All of them were. I never surfed any place that wasn't. Like I said, Paradise Beach was, when it broke, it was a nice wave. And a lot of that side of the island, you would have to. I could read the waves then really good, and I knew when it was breaking somewhere else. You know.
Yeah, you get that feel.
Yeah.
You get that, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is all pretty much over on the offshore wind side of the island, so it's spiffy clean, right?
Oh, it's real clean
Yeah. Clear water.
and crystal clear.
Uh,
Crystal. So clear that sometimes you see those fantails underwater.
Oh, yeah.
And they would move, and you think it's a big fish, and you get up and start paddling away.
That's the sea fans.
Yeah.
Down, yeah. That can be kind of unsettling to be taking a drop into really clear water, and it's all right there.
Right there,
in front of
yeah.
you, yeah. Urchins, coral, bad bottoms.
I'm sure I'm sure you could see the bottom so clear. It was pretty much getting out to the waves like the Garrison. Yeah, it was real rocky. Like I said, the first time I surfed it, I cut my foot really bad.
Yikes.
And but I was able to go to the hospital, and it was fixed for free because the English, the way that their insurance their hospitals were set up.
Oh.
Yeah.
How bad of a cut? Now, I don't think we've talked about this. What happened?
Oh, on the way out at Garrison, I was running, I guess, and I hit a pointed rock.
Oh, you're not even in the water.
Not even in the water.
That.
My first day.
I had a couple of stow tubs and tub stows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't talk. Never mind.
Well, I just went out that day. You know, it was pretty clear, and I wasn't the only one out there, so I figured, whatever. You know,
Yeah. Low
whatever.
odds.
Yeah.
And it finally quits bleeding, right?
Yeah, it did. And when I came in, there was a guy there from San Francisco that I wound up sharing a house with, so I could stay there longer.
Oh, cool.
He was a professor at some college in San Francisco, and he was there to. His wife was black, and he wanted to see what it would be like to live there if he was more,
Fascinating.
more able to
Yeah.
live there without stress of some of the. And he lived in San Francisco, which I thought would be fairly liberal, but he said no, it still had its problems. And
Yeah, back in those days,
yeah,
everybody
and
had
I'm sure she
problems.
was probably a professor.
Yeah, and in the 60s,
yeah.
there was a lot of flack to be.
Even the late 60s, I was
yeah.
still so.
There's people right today that are. It's not
Yeah.
good there.
Yeah.
Let that rest. So Barbados, Were you working? What were you doing for income?
You know, I tried to, and like I said, every 21 days you had to go re-register, you know.
Okay.
And you're allowed 3 of those, I think.
Okay.
After I was there so long, they and after the 3rd register, I didn't register anymore.
You just said I'm here and that's that? Let's fly under the radar.
And finally, I don't know how they did it, but they came out, they found where I was living, and took me to the airport.
Really?
Yeah. But I suspected that, so I had my stuff all together.
Planned ahead. Okay.
Yeah.
How are you surviving? What were you doing for food and money?
Well, I had a little bit of money, and I was being very careful with it.
Okay.
It's when I got back I had no money.
Unlike the trip to Mexico, when the money
No, the same way. When I got, you got to plan ahead, Pat. You know?
You made it last a little longer. And,
Yeah, but not. And even Mexico, it lasted as long as we'd planned to stay, but then we ran out.
just getting back became interesting.
Well, I had enough I had a round trip ticket, which I almost sold. You know.
You really did want to stay.
Yeah. But then I thought better of it, you know, so. Yeah, being really smart and stuff.
Sometimes it's better to think with the head than the heart.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
and I got on the plane and that was it.
Well, and have you been back since?
Well, I went back with my brother and Tuffy, and pretty much the same thing. We did the same thing, same time of year. We went over to Bashawa a couple of times, so it was big and ugly.
Super Bowl
It's a
Sunday.
windward side, yeah. Well, Bashawa is, I don't know if that's a town or...
The district or something. I wish I knew more, but I think Super Bowl is in that area. But I could
Yeah,
be
no,
very
it is.
wrong.
They were talking about Super Bowl when they said Bashawa.
That's one of those funny waves that you hear really wonderful things about it, and then when you see the pictures, it's like, well, it's choppy.
It's very choppy.
Yeah.
At least every time I was there. I'm sure there's times the wind lays down there, but I never saw it.
Some of those spots on windward side of Oahu, I guess, which
Yeah.
I'm familiar with. So.
But the wave is so massive, it holds up in it. You know what I mean?
It seems to have a lot of meat behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sean had to surf it at about 16 or so, and he was scared to death.
Ooh, yeah.
So, and it's a big wave. And he got 2, and they lost his board on the second one in his seat, and swam in, got his board, and made it outside just when the horn went off. He said, I needed one more wave, and I was already in the next heat, but you had to have 3 waves to qualify, yeah.
Surf contests. Don't get me started on
Yeah.
that, please.
So, well, I wrote a little article about that once, about
Did you?
surfing. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, people don't know you're a writer. You've kept that to yourself a lot, but you really are a writer. You're quite talented and skilled with that kind of stuff. Write more stuff for us. Find places to put it and write it.
Yeah, I do.
Please.
Put it in my bookshelf.
No, then we don't ever see it. We want to be able to see it.
It's
Hey,
pretty
everybody,
much-
Pat can write really well.
Yeah, pretty much for my family and stuff. I
Okay,
guess.
well, at least you're getting it down,
Yeah.
which most
Yeah.
people don't take the time to do. All right, back to Barbados. Second trip. It ends like the first trip, and then that's it. Have we been back since?
No, I've never been back since.
Okay, so we're looking at what, 40 years ago? 30?
Well, 71, so
71, so that's
72,
40?
somewhere in there. Yeah,
40.
yeah. So it was a long time. At that, when I got back, Sean had already been born,
Okay.
and we went to California and stayed out there for a little while. And
Oh,
I mean, I was here when Sean was born.
right.
And then we went to California and stayed there. Probably the 3rd time I was there. I think my dog was there more times than I was there.
Really?
He went back and forth. Hooligan went back and forth with Linda too.
Okay.
He was a pro.
Well traveled. Okay, all right. So yeah, you give the impression of having been firmly rooted in Cocoa Beach more or less forever, but that's not true, is it?
No, it's not totally true, but really, you know, there's like when I went to Costa Rica, there was...
Yeah, see, there's more.
Yeah, but there was 30 years. When I got on the plane, this friend of mine, this girl from Panama, took me down there, and if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have got on the plane. Because I didn't have a ticket. I was supposed to pick it up at the airport.
Whoa.
But they didn't have a ticket for me.
Yikes.
And I don't think Greg sent me a ticket. But what
Great story.
Greg did was he gave me this a card inviting me there, you know.
All official and nice.
Yeah, it was just great. And he said, him and Don Larson both says, yeah, we'll have a ticket for you. Well, when I got to Costa Rica, it's, well, you should have had it, whatever. You know.
Man, he's still looking for that figure. He doesn't know where it is.
So when we got to the checkout station, she was, you know, she grew up in Panama. She just went over them with the people behind the counter.
Let them have it.
Until they found the bull thing that was going on.
Ah.
And they knew it existed, so they could not give me a ticket.
Bless her heart. She
Yeah.
did it for you.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
And, well, I was there with her. She went to do something, and I'm with her little girl, and she starts crying.
Oh.
Because
Where's Mom?
it's like a third world. Miami airport is like nothing.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Been there.
And she started crying, and I'm going, please,
No.
don't do this.
Not now.
So finally her mom showed back up, but
Uh-huh.
she was getting a little desperate.
Oh, bless her heart.
Yeah.
We're jumping ahead, so I'm going to try and pull us
Okay.
back, keeping in mind that we've got a Costa Rica trip to talk about.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't-
No, this is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
All these little digressions are the meat and
Yeah.
potatoes of this thing, and we like them dearly. So back to Cocoa Beach, side trip to California with a dog that does better. Now, Sean, your son is being born, and at some point you're going to come back to Cocoa Beach and pretty much settle in.
Right. That was the time. The
Okay.
second time after Barbados, I came back but me and Linda had gone back to California, and she had come back here with Sean,
Okay.
and I went on my pilgrimage from California to Barbados and then into Miami and Fort Lauderdale. It took me a year before I got back.
Okay, so you kind of came home the long way.
Real long. We stayed in Lauderdale by the sea and rented surfboards for a while and
Okay.
hung out and went drinking with the lifeguards down there.
Good times.
It was good times.
Good times, baby.
And bad times at the same time. And my only thing that I could do in Fort Lauderdale was go across to this little park and do...
And do what? I'm just adjusting the camera. So
Oh, they had these people that shuffleboard people. You retired people. There was a bunch of them over there, and I was about 29, I guess. And I'd go over there and sit and watch them. And then finally, somebody asked me if I wanted to play. You know, and I'm bored out of my head. I said,
Sure.
Sure. And this couple of people, boy, you're really good at this. And I said, thank you. And it was fun. I go there at night and
Oh,
shuffleboard with them until we left, you know.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, stuff
Yeah.
like that. That's what life is all about, man. Most
Yeah.
people don't realize that. I don't think. And by the time they do, it's too late.
And then we came back up here
Okay.
with 30 boards.
All right, and where did we stay? Where did we set up our commercial operation?
Well, we got back. I put the boards in Ron John's. Bill Vollmer's the one that came down.
Bill Vollmer.
Yeah, he
Oh,
came down
yeah.
and got me in, what's the name of that town down south?
How far?
It seemed like far then, but it's not.
Between
Palm
here and
Bay,
Lauderdale?
Palm Bay.
Oh, Palm Bay.
There was nothing there then.
There was nothing there.
Nothing.
Yeah.
There was a gas station out there, and my car had broken down.
Okay, coming back up the interstate, I guess?
No, I came up US.
US 1?
Yeah, US
Okay,
1,
all right.
A1A, whatever.
Yeah, I get it. Just north of Grant. I know
Yeah.
where all that. Yeah, that's.
And and it was freezing cold.
Woo.
Freezing.
Woo.
And I called, I don't know who I called. I must have called Ron Johns and got Bill, and he said he'd come down and get me.
Okay.
Which he came down that night.
That's
Later,
right. Okay.
you know, like late in the morning, you know, or late at night, like
Wee
2
hours,
o'clock.
Yeah.
And somehow we got, I told him what I had, so we got everything into his truck.
How many boards?
30.
Wow,
Because
that's a load.
our intention was to rent boards in Barbados and make a living off of it. It didn't even matter if it was a great living.
All you need to do is be there.
Yeah.
That's enough.
So, so we came back up, and I put him in Ron Johnson. Ron gave me a job there fixing dings.
Ron DeMina.
Yeah, because I needed a job really bad. So I knew I had a shaping gig with Oceanside when it came open. It was when we came back, the season hadn't picked up to that point, and
so it was kind of lean times there a little bit.
it was pretty lean, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So Ron DeMina, what was he like back then? What was his deal?
he the same as he always is. I don't think he changes much.
Well, some of us don't know what that's like either.
Yeah.
But
I don't know either.
okay, there you have it. We're still trying to find out.
You know, Ron's always been nice to me, and he's Ron.
He's Ron. He's
yeah.
been a promoting kind of guy.
Yeah, he's a promoter. He is good at what he does.
Very good. Yeah.
And so he was upset when I left, and I said, Ron,
Really?
I'm doing things here, you know. And
They think they own you at some point.
I guess.
They have, and you see that with a lot of the guys that are in those positions.
Yeah.
They become indignant.
I said, come on, I got to make a living. I got a wife and a little boy, and I can't stay here.
Yeah.
You know, and
So he wanted you to stay.
yeah, doing things.
Doing things. It's not a high-end.
No, and I actually liked it when I first started doing it. You know, it was fun.
It's a good craft.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people that are very good at it.
Big guys get no respect. Why is that?
I don't know.
They have to know everything. They got to know how to work with foam, fiberglass, resin, pigment,
and put it all
color,
together and make it look like it's not there.
and blend it in until it's invisible. And yet nobody respects the ding guy.
Right.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
I think the ding guy should get promoted.
Well, I had a friend of mine that did things for me, Richard Hammond, and he was really good at things, and he made good money at it, and he put on fins at the same time, and he worked 2 days a week, and I told him, I'll trade you jobs.
Yeah, that's it exactly.
But he was good at it, and it worked for me in that. It was fun, and Richard was a good friend of mine.
That's good.
Is a good friend of mine. I don't see him much, but
That's how that kind of works. So, Ron DeMina, unfortunately you had to go follow your own star, so did you set up another shop, or what did we do at this point when we left the ding repair business?
no, I went to work for Oceanside.
Okay, that's right, you said there was an opening, so now you're going to shape for, now were you shaping Oceanside or were you shaping O'Hare's?
No, I was shaping Oceanside.
Okay, okay.
You know, I didn't even think about doing my boards again at the time. I just wanted to work for other people, just to prove my abilities, I guess.
Just to get back on the horse and ride it for a while. Okay.
And actually, the funny thing was I was doing all of Ron's boards.
So the ding guy got promoted.
Is that the irony of it?
Surfing is so, you can't get away from anybody. They're all
interconnected.
Yeah, they're all on top of each other.
And so I shaped for him for a long time, and then a friend of mine who wound up working for one of the surf magazines had ties in New York, so one winter, one of those dead of winter things.
Right.
Again,
New York.
He said, I can get you a job up in New York if you want for now. And I said, yeah, because me and Linda and Sean were living in a place probably not as big as this, but
Okay, kind of.
Yeah, it was small, so he contacted Bunger and
Bunger.
Bunger.
Okay, who's a big name up there on Long Island.
Yes,
Right?
I think he still is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wound up going up and
Never met him.
going to work for him. And
Okay.
the thing was, when I landed in New York at either one of those two airports,
The
you
big
know,
ones.
yeah. And he said, "You just stay there till I get there." And I'm going, thinking, well, what if he doesn't come? I'm looking at New York in a pair of flip-flops
I'll
or
live
whatever.
in the airport.
Yeah.
I'll be an airport guy.
He finally showed up, and I stayed at his house that night, and he rented me a place the next day, and I went to work for him, and met a lot of cool people up there. Different,
Okay.
a little bit different than me, but cool.
Yeah. Long
And-
Island's a funny.
Yeah, and I stayed
Never been there.
friends with Hawkins, who was a shaper up there. To this day, he comes by every once in a while,
Yes.
and he lives up there, and he's trying to buy property down here to live down here. And
And he's about had enough cold weather in the winter.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
but whether or not he ever does it, or just thinks
That's how
he's going to do it.
people
Yeah.
want to do a lot of
Yeah.
things. Yeah. A lot of those guys do the pilgrimage to Puerto Rico every winter.
The what?
The pilgrimage to Puerto Rico in winter.
Yeah, they do. Hawkins wasn't one of those guys, but yeah, they do. A lot of those people do. I think I met most of them because Bunger was one of the bigger shops in the area, and
Yeah.
he was doing that thing that rose on a surfboard. He was trying to make a motorized surfboard. I don't know if you remember that.
The only rows are plastic, fantastic surfboards, but I'm sure that's not it.
No,
I don't
he had a
follow
rose
those.
in, and he had an ad in every magazine. And
Okay,
he had this guy backing him, and I know you would know who it is, but
Can't
it's
think of the name right now.
35, 40
Been
years
too
ago.
long. Too many waves have been
Yeah.
ridden. Okay, I'm going to stop now. We need to pick it back up with Bunger in Long Island, but right now we're going to give this a bit of a rest, and we want to thank everybody for watching and listening, and we'll be back in a moment.